Okay, guys, so here we are. This is going to be how to build a Squarespace website from scratch. What we're going to do today is build an artist page because this is musicbusiness.io. And we're going to go through this to the point that you will be able to have a finished working website by the end of this. So if at any point you feel lost or stuck, please pause the video, rewind it, revisit it. That's the whole purpose of me doing it in this format rather than like a live or small segments. We've got one long string of things for you to do and follow along with so you can actually achieve a goal by the end of it. So to start, we're going to go right up into the top right hand corner here, and we're not going to hit get started. We are instead going to hit on my account right here, and you'll be taken to a page like this. You have websites and domains, and your website here should be empty, and this is the page you're always going to come back to when you want to edit your site. So if we were to work on Warrior Sound today, I'll hover over it and I'll be able to edit site from here. The reason I'm starting you off this way is once you've completed your site, we're going to need to come back to it and edit it and configure it over time. So this is how you would do that. So let's create a site now. Right up at the top right hand corner, I'm going to click create a site. It's going to open a new tab for us. And Squarespace takes you through a couple of ideas because it's going to filter down a template for you to work on. We're going to just choose music and we're going to keep going on from there. And what's the goal of it? Let's say we're going to market myself or my business, sell a product, potentially promote an event or project. Those cover the main objectives of an artist site. And where are you in the process? Well, we are ready to make our first website, so we can skip over that one. So from here, we're going to pick out a template. Now, Squarespace is built upon templates. It has pre-built websites that you can then reconfigure to make it your own. I'm thinking something like this with a nice landing page and the shop now option could work well, especially if we're promoting a new single or a new release or a tour date, something like that. So what we can do is we can click on here and we could preview Crosby. We're going to visit the demo site. Here's our demo site. So we've got a nice logo off at the left. Menu icons are nice and centered. And we've got social media up in the top right-hand corner. That's quite nice as well. And then we've got this nice shop now option, which should take us directly to the store. And the store layout here is really nice as well. So this would work well for album covers and things like that. We've already got a blog built in, super useful, and a contact page for reach outs. Yeah, I think we can absolutely work off this template. So we can close that away now. And we're going to start with this design. The first thing we're going to be presented with here is what we're going to name our site. Now, I would just generally name it the business or artist name, simple as that. And it's going to run us through a brief tutorial of how we can do things like edit pages, create pages, and style pages. So here we are. This is now our version of this website. We've just set this up. It's not paid for. So you can see at the bottom, we've got trial, and the trial ends in 183 days. The reason it's a 183-day trial is because I'm a Squarespace Circle member, meaning I've developed a number of Squarespace websites, so I get a longer trial period for development. Now, it's important that we break down the left-hand side here. We've got our pages, design, commerce, marketing, scheduling, analytics, settings, and help. Pages is where we're going to spend most of our time in this, with some of the design section. If we click on pages, it opens up, and this is a breakdown of the pages we have on our Squarespace site at the moment. There are two things to note. The top section, where it says main navigation, these are the pages that are displayed in our top menu here. If we were to click on them and rearrange them, which we can just click and hold and drag, we will see that they're rearranged in our menu order at the top. When we hover over, we have a couple of options. We can scrap the page entirely, or we have a settings menu. Now, the settings menu is dependent on the page type. So for example, we've clicked on the shop here. So we have product settings. We have the name, the navigation title, the URL slug, and importantly, whether we'd like to set this as the home page. Now, as well on the left, we have not linked. Now, not linked is a page that's available on your website, but isn't directly linked or visible as a direct navigation. For example, this home page is not linked. Once we have navigated away to, say, the shop, we are now unable to return back to that home page. We can now only go to the shop, story, blog, or contact. We've dived into the website, and that is how this not linked page works here. Now, we can click back to it in here, but navigating the website we would be unable to. This is useful for having something like a landing page here where someone comes to your website and they immediately take an action. They don't need to go back to that page. It simply presents the website to them. Now, we're going to do some housekeeping right off the bat to make sure that as we go through setting up our website, everything that we do and change conforms to something that we're after. What I mean by this is we're going to set our fonts, sizes, buttons, colors, so that as we create them, we don't have to edit them, change them, or configure them as we go. They're all done from the offset. So we're actually going to dive into design, and in here we're going to set up things like our fonts and colors. Now, if you don't have a color scheme, I'd suggest a really good website called brandcolors.net, and this will give you brand names and the exact color formats they use. So if there's a particular brand that you like how they work, we can have the color format that works with it. When we select one of these brands, we can see the color and it gives us a hex code. This hex code is going to be important and useful later, so it's worth taking note of them, and I just have them quite simply saved in a notes document. Within colors, there are some palettes to choose from in different themes. If there's something in there that works for you, we can simply click on it to use it. And if we want to edit it, we can click on the pencil icon. This is where our hex codes come in very useful. We can highlight here and insert a code. So if I use one from my notes, for example, so my buttons color, which is going to be a green, we can paste into here. It will find that exact green for me. And you can see now that button is now highlighted in green. And when they're selected, we can see on each web page what theme is being used for an independent section. We've got black minimal, black minimal. Next, we're going to go into fonts, and we need to choose a font applicable to this theme. We can do mixed and mix two font styles. This can sometimes work if you want your headlines to stand out and have different text below. However, serif generally looks the best, and we can see that's taken effect. So let's save that. Now we're just going to go back to pages and back to home. What we need to do now is activate the edit on the page. So we're going to hit edit in the top left-hand corner here. And this now opens up the page editor. You can see various changes happening as we move our cursor around. I'm going to start right up at the top, and we're going to do edit site header. This brings up a nice drop down here. And one of the first items we've got is our logo. And what we can choose here is where the logo appears. This is going to move it in different positions and different layout. This is what we had initially. And we can have it so the logo's centered. I quite like a centered logo, but we'll decide as we go along what's best. Then got site title and logo, and this is where we are able to introduce a logo if we have one. If not, simply the site title would appear here. So I could type unders, and that's going to appear here. However, I have a logo, so we're going to introduce that. And that is loaded in nicely for us. We can adjust the height here, the size. Best to have a tight cropped image, but something small enough. We want a mobile max height. 30 is the default. It can be a little smaller if you have a large logo. It's important here to note that mobile is very heavily used now. So to test mobile, we can simply click up here in the top right hand corner, and it will test a mobile preview. And we can see that shows fine there for us. We can just click that again to go back to the full version. Now in the elements section, we don't need to introduce a button here. It's not something that I would need to do unless you're directly pushing someone and you want that to be an instant call to action. If you've got a new single, for example, you could put a listen now button in the header. I would prefer to do that underneath in this main section where it currently says plants and pots for your home. Social links, always fantastic to have those up. So we switch them off, they disappear from up here, but we'll leave those enabled. What we definitely need to do is edit social links. And here we're going to just pop in our direct custom social links. So for example, Instagram, I would just change the end one here to unders DMB and save. And that would very simply then appear and link out to unders DMB for me. And obviously we would go through and do all of those individually. We can adjust the icon size. I think they're quite nice as they are. And if we're going to have a store, do we have the cart enabled or should we disable it? I'm going to leave it enabled because I'm absolutely going to upload the latest single and set up a store with you guys. So we want that in there. And the icon size just ever so slightly bigger than the socials is nice. Would be tempted to maybe bring the socials up to 25 so they match. But it depends on how you feel about it. Very minor adjustment. At the end of the day, what's important is that they're there and they link to the correct places. Oh, and you can put a color or a black border behind your banner that contains all this information. Transparent works nicely, but if we put an image that obstructs text, we switch transparent off, we get a solid border of which we can change the color, or we can use the default theme that we set before with our, now for the moment, transparent's okay. Let's see what we go with imagery wise. I'm thinking of actually just having a black background and embedding images that really then pull focus. So we're probably going to go down that route. And lastly, we've got style. So we can do inset And this brings everything a bit more narrowed in, whereas full will always fluctuate depending on the width of someone's browser. Inset will keep everything nice and tight in the middle. I actually prefer inset. I find it has a much better interaction ratio for it. And virtual padding is quite simply how much you want to pad that up and down. Now I like to do about 1.2 and keep everything really tight. Then we've also got element spacing. So I'd like to tighten that down even more to about 1.2 again. Just have a really tight menu up the top. It doesn't need to take a huge amount of space. People know where to go for it. We want to pull the focus to this area here. Lastly, we've got link spacing, and that is the spacing in the menu overall. Again, I like to tighten that right up at 1.5, which I believe is the default, is absolutely fine. Fixed position means this header is always going to stay at the top of the page. So as we scroll down, it doesn't come with us. If we switch that off, the header always rolls with the page. Generally, don't find that useful, but you might in your design always want people to be able to get back to that menu. Okay, so that's our menu and logo now set up. So let's look to configure our main page. Okay, so working on this home page, we're going to now edit this section just here. So when we go down, you can see it's nicely highlighted. Now this particular template is built in these blocks and sections here. You can see they're all built in these quite large blocks. And we can move them around in order. We could drop this one down, for example, and it would instantly be below this block. It's really useful for quickly navigating and building out new blocks, especially for something like a sales page. Now to edit the blocks, quite simple. We're going to click here. First thing we're going to do is go to the background and we're going to delete this image. Now in here, we could insert a new image. We can even insert a video, have a video background. I don't recommend that unless it's a page that just says like enter website or something like that. And that's all that we're going to do with it. I'll show you how to build one of those in another video. In this instance, I'm going to go to colors, use default theme, and we're going to have a nice black background here. Now, section height, I quite like this being large because we're going to pull focus here to our most recent release. We're going to leave that as large. Content width is medium, and the alignment being centered is nicely done as well. Now, we actually don't need any of these sections really. What we're going to do is we're going to remove all of them and we're going to build in our own options. Add a new block in. We're going to click on the plus. We want to add it above here. And what we're looking for is something with an image, text, and a button. So it's going to be something like this. Is going to work well for us. So let's add that block in. Now we don't want this block to have any focus taken away from it. So we can see at the moment we've got our banner and then this block and we can't see anything below it. That's actually perfect for what we're looking to do. What we want to do is edit the content in here. So in the image, we'll hover over the image and we're going to add in our album art for our most recent release. And when we add an image like this, we get the ability to add a design element as well. So we can have text directly below it, or we can have text on top of it or next to it and try out the different style. However, in this instance, I'm going to go for inline and I want to remove any text. We're going to edit our text at the top and we're just going to change this to new single out now. And notice it's highlighted and here it says heading 2. So in Squarespace, we'll have 4 different headings and 3 different paragraph options. And these are all set up in the design section. If I change the heading to 1, it will be our largest and 4 will be our smallest while still remaining as a heading. 2 is going to work nicely here. Here we could give a nice blurb about the track. I don't have a URL yet, but we're going to put unders.store there. And that all joins together quite nicely. And then we're going to customize our button with download now, or perhaps just download, keep it nice and tidy. And we don't have a click through to offer it yet, so we're not going to do that just yet. Now for me, there's a bit of a big gap between the banner in here. So we're going to use our settings in here and we're just going to tidy that up a little bit and do section height as small. Now that we've got the content in, it still fits nicely and that's just a little bit tidier. So we're done for that section for now. We're just going to save. Okay, so it's going well. We've got a landing page, we've got our artwork in, but it doesn't really do anything yet. If you're wondering, by the way, why have I done the button bright green and not left it transparent as before? It's having the accent or the button or the action you want someone to take being the only thing that's that color always draws the eye to it. It just causes people to take more action. Simple as that. There's a couple more things to do on this page first, and then we're going to fix everything up so that we've got a store and people can go and download the single, and that's going to be the single function this website focuses on. So what if someone's perhaps got a question, well, super useful to keep things like this in. So let's hit edit and let's make it so that we can collect emails from doing that. Now we don't need all this big space. We definitely don't need the background. So let's go ahead and remove that background again. We're just going to delete it, go over to colors, use default theme, and that has done that for us. And let's make this nice and tight. So we can edit our text, and let's just say form name can be email list. Our title, we just change our title to something like reach out and ask, or ask a question, or whatever works for you. And give it a description. Yeah, and if they are joining a mailing list, be upfront about the action. You can make it out as, they can ask a question and you're going to reach out. But if they're joining a mailing list, they have to know they're joining a mailing list. And I like to change the button often to something like ask rather than sign up. And alignment wise, I think that all works quite nicely. If you want to capture a name with it as well, we can do require name fields. Doesn't look as nice, but if you need to capture a name, it's a way to do it. Storage is important. We need to decide where this is going to be stored. Now, if you have something like Google Drive, you can simply send it to a CSV file in Google Drive or connect it to the likes of MailChimp. So we just link this to the Warrior Sound account. We give permission to Squarespace to write to G Drive, and we'll give this spreadsheet a name. We'll just call it single email opt-ins. Now we have a form done for that. We're going to say done and save. Now we don't need these other options right now apart from the shop. That's the only other thing we're going to keep up in this website for the time being. So we're going to take away our story and we're just going to bump it into not linked. We're going to bump blog into not linked, and we're going to bump contact into not linked. We're just going to have the shop there ready to go. Now in our shop, we need a product of the single. So we're going to click on the shop, and as it says here, to take orders, you will need to upgrade to the business or commerce plans. Completely fine. We know this is a trial website, so we can put a trial product in here. Now another way we can do this is to create a shop of our own rather than having all these trial products. The way to do that would be to bump this one out here where it says main navigation. We're going to hit a plus. We're going to go to a store page. We've got two options, store 1 or 2. One has this big banner at the top. We're going to go with 2. And it still uploads with some demo things in, but significantly less of them. So much like with the other page, we can just click to rename it. Let's call it music because that's what we're going to host here. Our navigation title could be store, and we already have a store, so this is going to show up as store 2, but we can fix that really easily by going over to our original, and we are just going to delete the whole thing. And now we can have the store as our slug. So we want to manage the contents of our store. We need to double click on these items and delete, and we're just going to fly through and delete these defaults here. And we should see the page catch up in a second, and we now have an empty store. So from our store page, we're going to add a new product by hitting the plus icon just here. And a download of a track is going to be a digital product. If you're selling the CD, vinyl, something like that, it's going to be physical. You'll need to split it between the two. We're going to do digital. We're going to upload an image, and we're going to use the Say My Name cover again. And we're going to call the track Unders Say My Name. We can describe what it is in here. And if you have multiple things in your store, it can be useful to tag and categorize. So you could put artist, for example, as a tag, and category as perhaps music to filter the store. We need to set our pricing here. We're going to hit edit. We have 2 pricing options. So I can put in 99 pence, and then we could do a sale price. And then if we did on sale, it would automatically show us on sale. And here we need to add the file. So here you're going to upload your MP3 or whatever it is you desire to be downloaded, and it will likely have to be zipped. We, for the example here, are just going to upload the image so we can see that's in there. And in additional info, we can really flesh this out. So for example, if we've got, say, a YouTube video we wish to embed in here, we can embed that in here so people could see it. Now, I don't have a video for this song, but what I'll do is embed the music video for another song so we can have a look at that as an example. We can hit the little plus just at the bottom here, insert a video. We're going to insert the video URL. It'll pull the thumbnail from YouTube for me and embed that in there. And we can write more descriptions, add extra photos. We could embed something like SoundCloud in here if we desired, so people can actually pre-listen to the track that way. We can do a custom URL, so we could do Say My Name. This is useful for when we're sharing them and we need to maybe remember them. And it's useful to put the thumbnail image again as the same cover. This means when you share it, it will share the cover image. If this is a featured product you want to draw the eye to, we're going to do featured product and it will highlight it for you. SEO. Now, if people are looking for your track, this is how it's going to show up. So you can give a specific SEO title and a specific SEO description. And then social. Again, we need to upload the image again. So we've got a social thumbnail. Notice it says alternate social sharing image. You see how it shows up here. If you want to do a custom one that fits the likes of Facebook here, you can. Generally, I don't bother. And then we've got the share options. So here we need to connect our social accounts. It's going to take us to our account connections on the side here, and we can connect all of the following accounts. Once they're connected, it means you can automatically share that product. And when that's all ready, we're going to save and publish. And that will now show up in our store. Now, we created a category before, so we have a music category that would filter out. So you only need to do it if you've got multiple things in your store. If not, don't bother, and this won't show up here. This is how our sales page looks. So it's the price of the track, the explanation, the add to cart option, the image, and below, like I say, I embedded the video, so we can see that. It's also another nice social link. So there's one last thing that we need to really do now, and that's go back to our original homepage. And we're going to take that and we're going to put it up here. So we're now going to have home and store. We're at the point we need to start assigning URLs to things. However, we need to get that done. So we need to actually assign our custom URL to our site. So to do that, we go into settings and we're going to go to domains. There's two ways that we can do this in here. We can get a domain and get it from Squarespace, or we can use a domain that we already own. If it's your first year with Squarespace, I would hit get a domain and use your free domain maker. It will give you some options here that you can choose. So I personally use a website called Namecheap. And if I put in unders.com here, see unders.com is going to cost over $350 a year. However, I can have unders.store for just £1.51 a year. So to do that, we'll do use a domain that I own. We're going to enter the domain name in here. So I have an unused one, which is musicbusiness.club. We can continue that. And it gives me two options: transfer to Squarespace or connect from provider. You're going to choose the provider. In this case, it is Namecheap, and we'll choose connect domain. So once we've done that, we want to set our download button to go to our store. So to do that, we need the URL for the store page, and more specifically, this actual product page. And once your URL is in, it will be your URL /store/say my name. If we go back to pages, back to our home page, hit edit and hit our download button. We want to do the click through URL as this /store/say my name. And we're going to save that by applying it and save our changes. And now, new single out now, download, takes us to our download page where our customer can add to cart. And they now have one item in the cart and it's ready to buy and be downloaded. So that, guys, was building an artist Squarespace website from scratch. I hope that was helpful for you. Now, there's lots of other small nitpicky things we need to do, like adjust the footers and like remove the names and things here, make sure that all of our socials are linked, do site mapping and things like that. I'll be putting up lots of other videos to help you out with those things. And as well, I'll be adding a full course breakdown to musicbusiness.io, for which the free trial link is in the description. So you could actually go there, knock through all of that information, all of that course, and get yourself fully set up and built up that way. Hope the video was helpful for you guys. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And if there's any questions, do let me know.